Hi, I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take for Market Rebellion on a Wednesday. This is hump day. We're getting over that hump right now as we speak. And wow, the markets are absolutely embracing what's going on and what's really driving markets right now to the upside. As a matter of fact, you look back to yesterday, it was really pretty interesting. A big dislocation early on. NASDAQ was trading pretty well, but you looked over at the Dow and in the pre-market, it was kind of flat. Then it dropped right away early on, down about 100 points, only to finish up a couple of hundred points higher. So a big turn for the Dow stocks. And then, of course, you got the NASDAQ, which has been powering forward day after day after day. And a lot of it has been tech, but we've also talked about some of the participation of other areas where we've had the semiconductors. We've also had biotech contributing at times as well. But yesterday, certainly when you take a look at what was going on in the NASDAQ, really a pretty powerful day. It was Zoom, Netflix, Lulu, Apple, NVIDIA, Chipotle, all those names. Zoom was up 40% yesterday, not 40% yesterday. So an absolute massive run after they delivered what were absolutely incredible numbers. There's no doubt about that. We did have some pullback later on as we look over at gold and silver, and oil's kind of hanging around that 42, 43 level still. That's something that's been pretty amazing to watch as well. But take a look at where the volatility is. And I've brought this up a couple of times now, and I suggested it yesterday for the halftime. We did not get to it. But when you see the markets going higher and then you see the quote unquote fear index going up higher, that's pretty interesting. First of all, it's not the fear index. It is a measure of what's really going on. The real movement expected from the S&P based upon all of the options that surround the S&P in terms of right at the monies and outside. All that being said, we've gone from 21, call it, to 26. That's where we are right now. We're at 26, despite the fact that we continue to hit new highs in major indices, it seems like on a daily basis. And oh, by the way, speaking of that, the volumes just continue to be just amazing. I mean, outrageous, actually. We, again, over 30 million contracts again yesterday. As a matter of fact, 31.5 million contracts trading again yesterday on a Tuesday in a ho-hum sort of a early, let's get into September kind of a thing. And yet the volumes just continue to be really, really powerful. Where were they the most powerful? Well, we talked about the splits. We talked about Monday, right? And when I look back to yesterday on Tuesday, Apple, 2.9 million contracts trading in Apple. Tesla, 1.7 million contracts. We also had Walmart as well with a lot of different news. That stock really spiked yesterday. Talk about Walmart Plus, and about 770, 1,000 contracts trading in there as well. So very, very active. And these volumes have been extraordinary, even in some of the individual names. But in the broad sense, anything over 30 million these days, that continues to be something that's going to catch my eye each and every day. So we had the Walmart news. And we had about a 6% rise in Walmart. Well, that certainly had some effects in terms of markets and many of the different indices. And stock has gone in a very short period of time from 130 all the way up to 147. It actually hit 149 yesterday, but did pull back a little bit. So that's part of the thing that makes that pretty interesting as well. And we had some option paper in there as well that was buying the 150 strikes, very, very short term. We'll see if those actually can come and be something that will work out. But certainly we've seen a lot of paper of late in Walmart, and it's been right. They've been buying since the stock was around 130, 131. They've been right this entire run up, which has been a very quick run to the upside, but continued coming back for more and trying to play into this whole move that we've been seeing. Copper, we haven't talked about that a whole heck of a lot, but when you look at copper and you see where those levels are as well, it does make you scratch your head a little bit, because that must be telling us a little something about those demands. And obviously more and more as we look towards industrials, maybe to make some moves. And that's something that we have been seeing a little bit here and there. That's something that I've been watching fairly closely. And you look at it over $3, that's pretty interesting. So opening indications today, we're looking for the Dow up about 100 points. NASDAQ up maybe 100 points or so. So pretty amazing, fast moves. And especially if you look over at the Dow, 28,000 type number. You look over at the NASDAQ, it's not even close. So percentage-wise, a pretty big outperformance, certainly seeing from the NASDAQ. But things have changed. As a matter of fact, so early on, Dow was up about 110, NASDAQ was up about 80, and the S&P was up about 12. And what was powering a lot of these? Well, when you look over at the index itself for the industrials, Intel, Cat, Coke, Coke, Walmart, Walgreens. Those are the kind of names that are old school names, right? I'm not talking about Apple. I'm not talking about necessarily the Microsofts of the world, but we do have Intel, we have Cat, we have Coke, we have Walmart, we have Walgreens. So some of those names are what's really powering things early on. That's going to change a little bit too. But NASDAQ, when it was up about 80, we had NVIDIA up about 5%. We had WDC, we had Micron, we had ASML, we had Qualcomm, we had a lot of the different chip names moving to the upside as well, powering the NASDAQ again. And outside of that, you look over at the S&P, we've got names like Kohl's and Broadcom, again, going to the chips. Hanes Brands, Gap Stores, just kind of a really interesting mix of stocks that are performing well and actually pushing some of these major indices to the upside. What's really sort of pulling, and then eventually it's been really pulling on the NASDAQ, has been Zoom. That was down about 5% early. The airlines were definitely a pull. Bookings, Netflix pulling back a little bit. Now we're seeing a little bit of a pullback as well out of Apple. I'm looking at the NASDAQ right now. It is now up about 29, call it 30 points right now on the NASDAQ. We're a little over an hour into the trading session. So interesting to see that the NASDAQ has pulled back fairly significantly. We had the SMH was up 1.75%. So that certainly was something to watch as it hit another all-time high, which has been a pretty impressive run to the upside and the powering that we've seen. But we are also seeing some of the big names that are showing a little bit of weakness right now. And what are those names that are really pulling even harder now? Well, I mentioned Zoom earlier, but Zoom is one of those names. Tesla, Workday, Apple, Netflix, AMD, PayPal, some of these various names. So those names off anywhere from 1% all the way up to about 8% for Zoom. So definitely what has really pulled back on what was $100 or 100 points, then it was 80 points, and now we've slipped all the way back to being under 30 points higher as we look right now. So real quick unusual option activity for you, Activision. Now, we've got all kinds of different names to choose from. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at one of those names that I'm going to be talking. I'll be on the halftime report today. I don't know if Scott Wapner is back or not, so we'll find out. I guess it's going to be pretty interesting. But as I'm looking around right now, and there's many names that have been hitting, one of them I'm already going to use in the half, so I can't use that right now. So I'm going to go with Activision. And Activision's one of those names that we talk about, the stay-at-home stocks, the gaming stocks, and that type of thing. That's always been very, very interesting. I mean, you put that in the Zoom category and some of the rest of those. But here's a stock that's trading a little over 83.30, and they are buying this week's expiring September 4th. That's Friday. Today's Wednesday. Just keep an eye on that. Time frame, crushed down. So can this stock get anywhere near and up and over potentially 86? Because that's what they're buying, the 86 strike calls. They're only going for about 25 cents. So a reasonably inexpensive opportunity for the upside if Activision can make that kind of a move. So that's something that we'll have to see if that's able to play out. I have not bought yet. I have bought options in the stock. One of the two stocks I'll be talking about for unusual option activity today on the halftime report. Can't talk about that right now. So, folks, I want to give you a quick update on a few different things. So the wonderful people over at the Minnesotan have done an outstanding job. They've done so much work with me, and they're contributing a big portion of what they're doing with their sales that's anything connected with me right now has been going to the Twin Cities Lime Foundation. Very, very meaningful thing with my wife and myself. I sit on the board. She's the chairman and founder of this whole thing. She's done a wonderful job. We got our third gala. Our third gala will be September 12th. It's going to be virtual. If you go to twincitieslime.org, you can go there, go to the events page, and you can see all of the different auction items that are there, live auction items, even starting now. You could start bidding if you wanted to. As a matter of fact, one of the generous donations came from Market Rebellion, an educational package along with unusual option activity. Should be pretty fun. So we'll see how well that's progressing. But September 12th is going to be the day. Take a look at all those different auction items, and it's a great program. It's going to be entertaining. There's some great singers and a lot of wonderful people that you've heard of in the past who do an unbelievable job. There's going to be a tribute to somebody who is a giant in the field. And speaking of that, I'm going to go to this. A giant in the field of transplantation was lost. Monday, my father passed away. Sad day for all of us. Very, very sad. Sorry. So, wonderful guy. I did a little tribute to him yesterday. Monday night, he passed away. Tuesday, I was on the show. So wearing a little Cal tie. The guy's the biggest Cal Golden Bear fan ever. greatest guy. Oh, played football there, played in the 49 Rose Bowl. He finished school in 2 years. He was working on med school while he was playing in the Rose Bowl. This guy's just an amazing story. Did so much to change the world in so many different ways, in a good way. Came up with immunosuppressant drugs and all these wonderful things, and a great father. Today, Golden Gopher tie. Why? Not because I went to the University of Minnesota, because Dad moved us all here to Minnesota. Late 60s, early 70s, we came here from San Francisco. We were a Cal family. We became a Golden Gopher family. Although I had two brothers go out and play football at Cal, I stayed here. I played at the University of Minnesota primarily because my dad was in love with the school, wanted to see as many games as he could, and he knew the opportunity would be better if I was right here in his backyard. I was a Minnesota Golden Gopher, still am to this day, love it. So a tribute to my wonderful father. Folks, have a great day of trading.